Mitikai or Asen. This is a Thinking Things Through video. I've come to like them. I actually did one last week. You'll never see it. Because as it turns out, it was much too personal. But 10 minutes of rambling helped me to reach a conclusion. Turns out the conclusion was wrong. But the 10 minutes of rambling inspired me to search out some people who had similar experience and similar professionalism as to the subject of my video. And they actually helped me to reach the right conclusion. Kind of a long way to go about that, but that's what happened. Will you see this video? Will this video see the light of day? I don't know at this point. But let's get into it. I needn't tell you that things have changed dramatically over the years. I mean, I'm going to be 59 in, 2.5 months. And, things have changed. So many people today complain about, I think, what is laughably called white supremacy. And they complain about racism everywhere. They complain about sexism and transphobia and homophobia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when I was growing up, so we're talking, in the 60s, sure, but I was just a wee one. So in the 70s and even into the 80s, this sort of toxicity that people say is everywhere today, it actually existed back then in the day. And even then, it did not exist in the proportions, to the density that some people claim it exists today. There has been remarkable progress made. I could go on and on about comparing past 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to today. Maybe I will sometime in future videos. I can tell you that I never bought the whole idea of white supremacy. The whole idea of ethnic supremacy. That's Pol Pot. That's Joseph Stalin. That's Adolf Hitler. That's not what's going on today here in America. It's just not going on today. That there are some, quote, supremacist groups who believe in the supremacy of their ethnicity and their culture, sure. My goodness, these are small groups. My goodness, they are inconsequential. They are not, what's the word? They're not influential at all. And thank the Lord for that. Never bought into that. When I was younger, I did buy into the idea that, I had to be a macho, smooth talker. Both my brothers they were very successful ladies' men. And it seemed that a lot of, if not all, of the TV shows and movies and stories that I exposed myself to, they had these characters, these main characters, these men who would, sometimes black men, and other cultures, who were just smooth operators. And I wanted to be that. That made me not that desirable to women. It made me a little bit creepy. It certainly didn't make me abusive or predatory, or I didn't even think it made me sexist. I just got the wrong examples from the wrong people. And I got some bad examples, and I took some bad lessons from the right people, like my brothers. So I've lived, and I've learned, and I've grown, and I've matured. And I admit, I've matured rather late. But I have matured, and it is an ongoing process. It's funny, though, that I have had a few people in my life who I have reconnected um, I guess mostly through social media, some through several layers of social media. But people that said to me, Mr. Still or Mark, wow, you made such a huge game changing, you're responsible for game changing events in my life, or an event for each person in their lives. And it's like, me? What did I do? Because I am aware of how selfish and self-absorbed I was for such a long time. But apparently, the values that I have now, I've always had those values. The values of compassion and using intellectual curiosity to get at the best of that compassion. This thrust that I have to do what I can to better the other person, to help the other person better him or herself. It's just as I've matured, I've gotten better at the application of those values. In fact, I guess I picked up, the application of a value. One of those values that I've extolled all these years has been reliability. And now I understand how vitally important that is. That is a core value, not just for myself, but I think for any human. So you have all these people today who are saying, we're useless. Humanity is useless. If you're white, forget about it. If you're a white male and straight, oh my gosh, just forget about it. You're worthless. And I think they call it intersectionality. There are degrees going further down. I would say they believe going further up, but it's really going further down, where you are saying that you have less and less agency. You have less and less potency, less and less voice in this world. So, white men, cisgender white men. Cisgender didn't used to be a word, by the way. But anyway, cisgender white men. And then homosexual white men, white women, anybody who's not white. And the whole idea of not being white is that you are supposed to be just totally dependent upon the white person, especially the cisgender white male, giving you some sort of agency, some sort of power. And as I said, so many claim that this exists today in such grand proportions, when back in my day, when it actually did exist, it was a fraction, a small fraction of what others say exist today. True compassion, true love is helping people to grow. True compassion, true love is not putting someone down and say, yeah, you should put yourself down. You should identify as somebody who has no agency, no power in this world, unless I, the white guy, gives it to you. True compassion, true love looks at the consequences and the results of not just helping you, but how that impacts people around you, and how that impacts your children and the children of other people in your community. True compassion, true love is about affecting change, starting with one person that can just grow, expand down through the generations, everywhere. Why don't we see this? I want to keep this under 10 minutes, so I'm going to say peace for fingers, and maybe I'll give this a chapter 2. Be good to yourself. I'll talk to you.